the relationship we want to have with our emotions is harnessing them for our awesome life. And I've been thinking a lot about this metaphor, which is, so imagine a farmer goes and gets, purchases, say, 5 new workhorses and brings them back. They show up, in the trailer on the ranch, and they are just wild. These are just wild, unbroken horses, right? Unbridled. These are like your unbridled emotions, unbridled joy, unbridled passion, unbridled anger or rage, unbridled grief, out of control. You can't do anything with it. And in fact, it wreaks havoc. And when I was out of control of my emotions, this is how it felt in my body. And when we are out of control of our emotions, right, it feels like these wild horses in our brains and in our bodies. And so what we want to do through this live this morning is talk about how to hook these emotions up, how to harness them, and have them drive us towards our awesome life, towards our goals. How can we use emotions to get us there?
Well, first you have to understand the emotion, right, and what to trigger, because sometimes, yeah, I don't know if you guys notice that sometimes you are happy, smiling everything, and then all of a sudden the emotion change. You wanted to actually go back a little bit, realize, what triggered the particular emotion, and then, work with it and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to do that, because it will bring you faster to, the happiness side of, of your life.
And I actually think that's, something that the newer generation is actually is better at than we are, is that phrase, like, I'm triggered, and being aware of the emotions that are arising in their body and something that happened to precipitate that.
Yeah.
But then the next step is, well, what do we do about it?
Yeah.
And I think a big, big piece of it is finding, well, I'm kind of skipping ahead, working on identifying our emotions. Some researchers, did a study and asked people, like, in this particular scenario, you are sitting at your office at work, and 5 of your coworkers leave to go to lunch. They're like, bye, we're going to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel? And a huge percent of the respondents said, I would feel upset. And like, upset is just such a vague emotion. It's hard to do anything with it. It's kind of like when I ask you, what do you want for dinner? And you say food. Like, okay, that doesn't help. Right? So the more that you can recognize not only the trigger, what triggered you, but also exactly, like, what is this emotion? And then also, how does it feel in the body? Where am I feeling it? Because the interesting thing, to backtrack a little bit, what is an emotion? It actually comes from the Latin word meaning energy in motion. It's actually energy in our body.
Yeah.
And so when you start to tune into, where am I feeling this in my body? And what is the name for this particular emotion? I found something, but I don't think I can pull it up now. Like, you should Google, or I'll post it in here, the feelings wheel or the emotion wheel. And it has, a wide variety, a wide rainbow of emotions that you can start to use and become, just a little bit more in tune with or aware of the whole array of emotions that we feel.
Mm-hmm. The feeling of emotion is kind of like a wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see the wave coming, but if you choose what you which wave you actually want to take off, right? And it's kind of like your emotions. When you feel the emotion, you want to know exactly what triggered that emotion, and then you see how you're gonna act
Mhm.
on the emotion. And usually, you want to choose to act, in a positive way, right? One thing they say, like, um, don't think with your emotions, when you are in emotion state, don't make any decision, because
Mm.
it's so dangerous when you make a decision while you're in emotion.
Mhm.
But when you find out the emotion, and you study it, and you put in a perspective, and then now you're going to choose which direction you will go, and so now you can make a decision. you know.
I think that it's really important, though, that we're talking about this. And I think that um, what we've inherited from generations before us and what we've learned as young children are what cause our natural reactions
Mhm.
to those outside events or those internal or external triggers, right? So when this thing happens, this is how I react.
Mhm.
And starting to tune into what is my natural reaction when I start to feel something. And so many of us are so unconnected with our emotions, or
Yeah.
we've narrowed our responses to one or two emotions that we've like kind of gotten really good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when one natural thing that we some people tend to do, some people express their emotions in a way that's harmful.
Mhm.
But also one thing that we do is we suppress our emotions, and that's where things get harmful, right? We suppress our emotions so much. We don't want to feel. I don't want to be
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel irritated. But if I don't learn how to harness it,
Yeah.
then I'm just shutting it in to my body. So this is maybe a key to take with you. Any unexpressed emotion gets stored in your body. And that is stressful, right? It adds to that chronic stress.
Yeah.
And it also adds to all the diseases that are stress related, right? Yeah, you're imploding. It's like it gets stored in certain areas of your body, and that's where disease and cancers can grow.
Yeah.
So the worst thing you can do is just be like, I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel grief, and stuff it down and layer something else on top of it to hide it.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I was about a year ago, right? I was really holding my emotions. I was, apparently everybody was looking at me that I made it. Drive a nice car, live in a nice neighborhood, family, kids, and all that. Everything's looking good from my side, but I was holding my emotions, all right? I was holding it so much. I don't want nobody to know that I wasn't a happy person. You know, I wasn't a happy person because I was, taking so much time, I working, and I barely see my family. I barely see my wife and kids. I barely call my parents or, my sisters. And that was holding me so bad, my emotions. And I don't want it to just you know let it go. I just want to hold them because I don't want nobody to feel what I'm feeling. And that was causing me a lot of problem, because most of the people, when they have some stress, they eat. I don't eat. When I have a stress, I just don't eat. And I went down to 120 pounds, and that was really freaking me out, like, because I'm 47 years old, and at the weight, I'm like, no, how can I do this? I need to find another way. And I'm glad that I found a way, somebody to help me to be what I am today. you know and now I'm in the I can control emotions. All right, I feel like I have a more better control of my emotions. Even though you remember before when I'm mad, I just stop talking and I just walk away, stop
Right.
talking. I don't talk to you for hours.
Because that's what you learned when you were a child,
Yes.
that was the
Yeah.
safest way
The
to
safer way.
handle your anger.
Yeah, yeah. And then now it's different. When I have feeling some negative emotion, I just start thinking of where that came from and how can I do with it. And it's worth it to be on the same emotion pattern, or I should just switch it out to a positive way, and how can I do it to bring it to the positive side, right?
So one thing that I've been reading and practicing and learning about is that just thinking about your own emotions actually doesn't release them. Like you have to get them out of your body. So crying, some of us are like so afraid, like, oh no, I feel like I'm gonna cry, right? And especially the way that a lot of men in our culture have been trained,
men don't cry,
that
right?
Men aren't supposed to cry.
Yeah.
Well, that is a natural response of releasing that energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't want someone to see you cry, that's a different thing. You can cry in private, but not to stuff it down.
Yeah.
Right? Other things that people do to release. So I went to a lot of therapy, and therapists would use this like a creative outlet, right? But then that made me even more discouraged because I'm not creative. I'm not a singer songwriter. I'm not a painter. I'm not a poet. So I didn't feel like I had an outlet. And what I've learned is just having somebody to receive my emotions without reacting, right? And so since Tovy has done this work and is able to listen, I can say, I'm feeling really angry about this, and this, and more will come out, and he can allow me to express all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're sick to your stomach, it's like when you have food poisoning. You don't want to suppress the vomiting because that keeps the poison in, right? You actually want to stimulate the vomiting, let it all come out. What else? What else?
No.
What else? And get it to all come out. And then, just like with vomiting, it's like, or after a really good cry, right? It's like that feeling of release and relief. Yeah. And so whatever you can do in finding somebody, whether it's a therapist or a friend, but having a very clear relationship with them where you say, like, I need to be able to release my emotions, or is that something you can handle, right? So that you can say them out loud. And, the other thing is like going for a run, going, if people deal with a lot of anger, going, because that's clenching, you feel it in your muscles, right? And you can do this activity, you can do it right now while I'm talking, you can do it later on today, but like clenching up every muscle, clench your fists, your jaw, your forehead, your nose, clench your ears, clench your everything, right? Your toes, and that feeling. And then the opposite, that release, that openness. This helps you get in touch with your emotions, so that when you're feeling that anger, you know what it is and you know to express it. And then the next level that we want to practice with you guys, or to share with you guys, how do you harness that to your dreams, right? So you got to be really, really clear on what your vision is. And then when that emotion comes, so this is back to the analogy of the 6 wild horses that just got dropped off. What if you could get all those horses harnessed, bridled up, and you could use them, you could attach them to a plow. So if you know what your goal is, what your dream is, and then you attach all this emotion. So I'll give you an example. This week, I was super disappointed about the way something went in our business, right? And maybe an unhealthy response or an unuseful response would be for me just to pretend I wasn't unhappy, to go to the beach or to go to the club or the bar with my friends and just kind of, you know, try to wash it away. Try to just feel happy. Forget about it and not feel the disappointment.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's probably still there. It's probably still stored no matter how much I ran or whatever, right? But if I take that disappointment and I really focus on why didn't this thing go well? I'm really disappointed that it didn't go well. What is the lesson here? What do I need to learn? How can I do better next time? How can I salvage this?
Mm-hmm.
Hooking all that emotion to the project to even drive it forward. Now I have more horsepower for my projects, for my dreams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can do it about things you're angry about.
And it was great because you had the emotion and you didn't keep to yourself. We talk about it, and then we talk to people that know about what we do, and the process and all that. And after you express yourself, and their respond make us hey, it's an A over again, right? Let's start over and let's do this. But it's very important to choose the person that you want release all your emotion with. It's not everybody is um, I say prepare to receive somebody else's emotions, and that's normal. Okay, that's normal. I have emotions. I have a lot of emotions. And
everybody has a lot of emotions.
Yes, but what I'm saying that I don't know only mine, but I can feel your emotion. I can feel somebody else's emotion. I can just look somebody. I don't even met somebody. I can just cross, with somebody on the street, and just to look at the person, and I can tell their emotion, and the emotion will affect me as well.
Yeah.
Right? And that is kind of dangerous because in fact, when I used to do ballet, I used to meet a lot of people every day, and especially those that was with my customer for so many years. When they are happy, I can tell they are happy. When they are sad, I can tell they are sad. But when they are sad, I was feeling sad the same way too, right? And now I couldn't concentrate about doing my own work because I'm so sad because a customer was sad about something, all right? And that was making me really, really emotional, like feeling everybody. And I didn't like to feel that. I didn't like to feel everybody's emotion. But then I was like, you know what? I mean, that is a reason. That is a reason that I feel somebody else's emotion. And that's what I'm working only my emotions, but I'm working about receiving somebody else's emotion and see how I can help them and help me, and help the whole humanity.
Well, and there's a lot of energy practices for that as well. One is kind of every morning, and part of your meditation practice is to kind of create a bubble, an energetic bubble around yourself, like a filter, so that only things that you want will come into your awareness. And then the other thing is that releasing and that grounding, and then kind of transmuting your energy and your emotions. And I hadn't really thought about talking about this today, but you just brought it up for me, which is the other thing you can do besides expressing it out. You don't want to stuff it down, but you can energetically, through a lot of practices and training, like transmute that fire into something positive. Right? And I guess that's also like harnessing it to your project. But like, how do you turn all that sadness that you collected in that day into love and empathy and compassion, and like send it back out into the world in a way that like spreads light?
I mean, and first you gotta see where the emotion come from, what to trigger the emotion, and then you will find different ways how you wanted to fix it. but the choice will be yours. How you want to fix the
Mhm.
emotion, right?
Mhm.
I think the choice should be yours. Um, how you want to trigger the emotion from negative to positive, and usually you want to trigger to
Not
positive
trigger,
already.
transform.
Transform it, transform it to the positive side. But it's a lot of practice, but it's not difficult. It's just practice, because it's just a habit. All right, you have a habit to react in one way. You just need a new habit, to react a different way. And but when you already know, the particular situation, is much easier for you to transition in one way to the other, and you will be remember. Your brain will be like, oh yeah, I should do this way. I mean, and your brain is really, will adapt really, really fast to change your emotions.
So something that can be very useful in this starting out or restarting this project is when you're aware of a certain emotion that you tend to struggle with, is to read books or watch YouTube videos, or to figure out like what are some strategies for dealing with it. And then you can also like watch movies and be like, oh, that's interesting, I would have reacted differently. So instead of just getting sucked into a movie and feeling all the emotions with them, is like give yourself a little bit of distance as a student and analyze what are their responses or reactions to that trigger, to that emotion. How do they handle it? Is that something that I would like to try on?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I have so many things this morning. One is I want to talk about the difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is just what happens. When my kid does this, this is what I do. The reaction happens, right? A response is thinking about how do I want to respond when I feel these certain emotions, right? So when my child does this, how do I want to respond? It's intentional, right? And you can make it a habit.
Yeah.
Right? You can make it be your natural reaction, but the difference is that it's chosen. It's intentional. And then the other thing is, it's going to feel weird when you do something different. So just be okay with it, like it not feeling natural. It's not the way you naturally respond when someone makes you angry on the freeway or wherever, right? Usually if someone, cuts you off on the freeway and you're angry, try something totally different, like love you, thank you, right? And just experiment with it and see how it changes your day and your life, right?
Yeah.
And then over time, it'll feel more comfortable. Yeah. Or you'll say, well, this really isn't working for me. Pick something else. Don't give up on this project.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're talking about the anger on the freeway, right? There is so many now. There's so many people like fighting each other with a car in the freeway. That's so crazy, okay? But why? Because they are using the emotion to make a decision.
Yes.
Right?
And because so many of us are walking around with so much stored stress and anger and frustration that like any little thing triggers it. And you think if that's how they respond on the freeway, think about how they respond to their kids.
I mean, imagine, 80% of the population, getting up early in the morning to go to work all day in the most abundant job that they don't even like. And they have to drive hours to get to work and come back. And they have kids at home. They have, husband, the spouse. They have or they have family member. They have elderly at home. So many things are going on in people's life. All right. If you actually put your your foot in everybody else's shoe and ask to see it, you're really gonna realize that we really need to control our emotion, and we shouldn't ever take any decision based on our emotions. All right, because usually it will go wrong. Usually go wrong. So yeah, it's just one thing that I struggle with, especially with the negative side. I'm a very positive person by nature, but I think a lot of negative stuff.
Mhm.
I think a lot of negative stuff. And before I didn't know what to do with it. I just tried to avoid my negative, right? But then I realized that, I shouldn't avoid it. There's a reason that I'm thinking so much negative. And if I can bring the negative to positive side, and I just need to study it and find out how to bring the thought I just had a negative, how to bring it to positive. And that's what I've been working on it, for past what 7 8 months now. I've been working about getting my negative to positive. It's so hard. It's so hard in the beginning, but then it got easier and easier and easier. That's why now I'm getting less and less stressed, less mad. I don't get mad and stay mad all day because I find my new habit that okay, I'm getting mad right now. I'm gonna make sure in the next 5 10 minutes I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm already moving on. It's hard in the beginning, but it's possible.
Mhm.
It's possible with the practice.
The other thing we didn't talk about real quick is journaling. If you don't have somebody that you feel comfortable sharing your emotions with, journaling is another great thing to just write down what you're feeling and why. And the why is interesting because we don't want to get too stuck on externalizing or internalizing, any of the reasons why we're upset,
Mhm.
right? But it can be good to just express it and then you're actually like releasing it.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
hold on to that story. You can let it go. And I'd say that that's a huge part of this emotion management as well, is like express it until it's really gone.
Yeah.
Don't keep holding on to stuff. So I hope this is helpful. Those of you who have opted into Awesome Life 101 VIP, congratulations. This is our first week of the Awesome Life 101 VIP experience. So you should have that link in your email from me and Tovy. But if not, send me a message in Facebook Messenger right now. If you've already opted in, I'll send you the Zoom link and we'll meet you over in the Zoom. For those of you who've not heard about this, check your emails. Look for an email from info@awesomelife101.com. Make sure we're going to your inbox. Also, look at our post from this week that said important and exciting news and announcement, something like that. Because that'll explain the whole VIP program to you. But basically, one of the perks is after these live events, we're going to go into the Zoom room and we're going to hear from you. What came up for you? What are your thoughts about all this? Because Tovy and I, we are only two perspectives.
Yeah.
And so the more people who come to that mastermind, I feel like the more powerful and exciting it's going to be. So.
And one more thing, it's not going to be a record, right? It's
Right.
Just like we talk about it and we'll let it go.
Yeah, it's not recorded. It's not shared or replayed anywhere.
Yeah. So,
that's right. Thank you. That's important to us.
So
So if you're not VIPs yet, go work on that. Get signed up. A lot of you have access for free because you were winning the gratitude challenge.
Yes.
The rest of you, it's so affordable. $108 for the year, which is basically $2.07 each week. Plus, there's some other great things rolled into that as well. The coaching sessions with me and advance notice of anything that we're about to launch.
Yep.
So reach out if you have any questions or you can't find that email. And the rest of you, I will meet you in the VIP room. Bye.
Bye-bye.